So for this practice, again, just arriving in the knowing of the felt sense of the body, breathing, and just beginning to see what is making itself known, this quality of befriending ourselves just as we are that I mentioned earlier. It's like sometimes we have the kind of what I call the usual aspects arriving, such as we may feel a tenderness somewhere in the flesh and bones, or perhaps we may feel a little activity or busyness of the mind. But can you come to an even deeper place of simply allowing those things to be seen? Like you're stepping back in yourself a bit, continuing to ride a few waves of the breath. Noticing also the places where you are very much rooted and grounded, perhaps the flesh of the buttocks, the underbelly of the feet on solid ground. Maybe even imagining, if you will, that you're dropping some roots through those parts of the body, kind of allowing this sense of grounding, this sense of rooting. And then that touchstone of the breath. And then from here, just a little tuck of the tailbone. So we're just inviting for the core of the body to become a little bit engaged. So we're just gonna, I like to place a hand below the rib cage and above the pubic bone, just a little tuck at the tailbone as you press the sit bones in, and this gentle kind of uplifting through the central axis of the spine. Letting your attention now rest on the chest, where the sternum is, and see if you can just feel a little uplift there, shoulders relaxed and down, chin slightly tucked. And then noticing the whole of you from the tips of the toes to the top of the head, again, as if you're sitting here almost like you're having tea with yourself, noticing the whole of you and letting yourself be breathed. Again, this practice of simply being, letting go of striving or driving, arriving more fully here. See if you can allow the breath now to be a bit deeper and fuller, maybe noticing the breath in the rib cage, feeling the ribs expand left and right. And then just a little bit of self-touch. You may or may not want to just kind of grounding. I like to sometimes place a hand in the lower belly just to kind of feel that contact, feel my abdominal muscles come online a bit more, and sometimes a hand on the chest. And coming back, and let's take about 4 or 5 more full body breaths right here. Feeling the rising and falling of the breath under your own touch. And then if you choose, you may want to place the hand that's on the belly, the hand on the chest, and this, again, this befriending whatever is arising in this moment from a place of a bit of inquiry and curiosity. What may benefit from my care today? And listening deeply to any wishes or desires for your own self-care. And then we'll bring the noble creatures of the hands together, and we'll just start with a little bit of caressing the hands, just feeling mano a mano, if you will, just this simple relationship right here the hands in partnership. So simple, and yet something that can bring us right into our senses, right into the present moment. And then from here, taking the tips of the fingers to the back of the neck and just slowly beginning to walk the fingertips up as if you're creating a little bit of traction. Chin is tucked, keeping that tailbone also tucked, abs turned on. And we're just gonna, if the fingers will interlace, we're opening the chest a little bit more fully here, like we're cradling the occipital ridge, the skull. We're just gonna exhale as we bring the elbows together. And then as we inhale, we're just gonna open and expand. So a little bit of a stretch in the upper back, just going with the flow of the breath. And the next time you rise up, on your next inhalation, we're just going to extend the arms out left and right. So just feeling this expanse of arms and then turning it over to the hands, the wrists, the digits, and exploring the range of movement here, maybe spreading your fingers a little more widely than you normally do, maybe getting that little bit of flexion. As you continue this, I'm going to go on ahead and start our playlist for today. And then we're just going to turn the palms forward right here, opening the legs. If the legs aren't open, we're just going to we're taking up space here in the chair. We're reaching, tailbones tucked. And then as we exhale, we're just going to draw everything in. So we're going into like a little bit of a seated child pose. Take a few breaths here, noticing the back body, not too much pressure on the upper back. And then on the in breath, we're just going to open and expand, taking up space, letting the opposite arm come on top this time, kind of drawing the energy in. A few breaths here. And continuing this a few more times, kind of waking up the body, feeling our limits with this range of motion. So again, befriending ourselves with our good attention, pausing. And when you're ready, opening one more time. Let's just stay here for a moment. We're going to let the hands come down to the hip crease. Let's heel toe the feet in slightly, tailbones tucked. We're just going to go into that little bit of a gyration, pressing the sit bones in like we're a bit of a spinning top. And then imagining that all of the abdominal muscles are kind of drawn in, like a little bit of shrink wrap around the torso. Continuing to take deeper, fuller breaths as we wake up the energy field of the body. We're going to change direction when you're ready. And coming back to stillness, coming back to the seated mountain. And trying to see if we can get our music to play. And as you come to the seated mountain, just turning the palms out, tailbone is slightly tucked. We're just going to inhale, catching that draft of breath, like we're just creating this funnel. So what are we channeling in right here? Palms turning down as we exhale. Think of this like a bird in flight. Again, gathering. And we'll do this 2 more times. And the next time the arms are going to come up, palms are going to come together, exhaled right down to the midline. We're just going to weave the fingers. We're going to press out, scoop and hollow. Inhale, come up to a bit of an extension. Exhale, a gentle release. One more time, this quality of gathering, like you're drawing in energetically, whatever supports your practice today. Exhale, weaving the fingers, press out. Rising up with that breath. And the slow release back to the mountain. Pausing here, closing your eyes if that's available. One more time, just feeling the feet on solid ground. Feeling the sit bones, the buttocks pressing in, rooting through the lower extremities. Maybe noting a bit of uplift from the pelvic floor, like you're drinking through a straw, just lifting and lengthening through the spine up to the sternum. Shoulders relaxed and down. One more time, the arms rising up with the breath. Exhale, hands to heart. We're going to go into a simple crescent moon. So we want to weave the fingers, hands coming back up, arms coming back up with the breath. Exhale, coming in to this stretch, opening the right side body, and the gaze may or may not follow. See if you can draw the belly button away from your shirt, continuing to keep that tailbone tucked. See if you can imagine the breath opening the ribs a bit more, left and right. And on your next exhalation, very slowly rising up. Exhale, hands to heart. Let's just take a little bow. We're just going to open the back of the neck here. And then just see if the head might just want to gently release in any way. So we're exploring movement. See if you can pause. If you come to a little tender place, maybe pausing for a few breaths and a little TLC. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed, but your chest is lifted. And the head eventually coming back up to neutral. One more time, we're just going to release back into the mountain. Belly button drawn away from the shirt. Inhale this quality of gathering again. Exhaling, hands to heart. Coming into temple as we inhale and open up that left side body. Turning the gaze when it's right for you. Again, belly button away from the shirt, breathing in the rib cage area. And rising up with that breath. Exhale. One more time, a little bow, namaste. Returning back to the mountain when you're ready. Before those of you that want to come to standing, we're just going to, again, let the feet be a little wider, and we're just going to kind of go with the flow. So I want you to just feel the fluidity that you are, the fluids of the body. Like there's this wave, just like there's a wave of the breath, there's this wave of energy moving through, like a wave on the ocean. And just, if you let the body be in the driver's seat without even thinking about it, it will express itself with its own sense of rightness and wisdom. And then if we layer upon that a bit of skillful imagination, can you just imagine the uncoiling of any tension, like coils of energy just becoming more loosened and elongated? And when you're ready, arriving back at stillness. And then if anybody wants to come to standing, this is the time to make that transition. I'm going to remain seated in the practice today. And when you come to standing, or if you're seated, let's just return back to this essence of the foundation of the mountain. If it's appropriate to close your eyes here, see if you can notice that truly we are at home. We are a part of this earth, not separate from, but truly we are at home. See if you can feel into those contact points, your feet, if you're seated, the flesh and bones of the glutes. Can you, where you're pressing in with the feet or the buttock, can you again imagine on a breath like you're drawing that energy from the earth into this vessel, this mountain essence, this body. And then from here, we're going to do a little bit of radiant body breathing. So we're going to let the feet be just a little bit wider. We're going to turn the palms in. And then on an in-breath, like little puppeteer strings, kind of effortlessly raising the arms up. When they get shoulder height, we turn the palms up. The breath continues, arms overhead as we exhale, hands washing down the front of the body. Continuing with each in-breath, seeing if you can just let the arms move very effortlessly, modifying as you need, exhaling down the midline. And again, this quality of coming home, this quality of just befriending yourself just as you are in this moment. We'll do this 2 more times. And like the hands and arms are moving through water, coming back to stillness, pausing and noticing, closing the eyes for just a breath or 2 if that's available for you. Feeling again those press points that are making contact with ground. Feel that energy flowing up through the central axis of the spine. Shoulders are relaxed as we now do the alternate move, hands coming in front of the body, almost like a triangle in front of the pubic bone. As we inhale, hands this time washing up the midline. And we exhale in the reverse fashion. And again, keeping this as effortless as possible. And this very wise yet simple part of you present, this homecoming of selfhood being known. Finishing the one you're on, and then 2 more times. And the letting go, the pausing, the noticing. And let's come back to that little bit of a fluid, squiggly wiggly expression deeper, fuller breaths, as if we're kind of gently wringing out the muscles, the fluids, the lymphatic system getting stimulated. And then like you're, like water off a duck's back, just kind of rolling these shoulders gently up and back and down one at a time. Let your chest be uplifted and proud. Let your belly button be engaged, drawn away from your shirt. Almost like a bit of a backstroke, if you will. And then melt back to stillness. Pausing and noticing. We're going to continue with our little bit of a chi yoga practice. We're going to let the right hand come above the belly button, the left hand below. And as if you're funneling in the breath between the hands, just imagining the energy as if you're breathing between your hands into your belly. Skillful use of imagination here. Shoulders are relaxed. And then on your next in-breath, you're just going to let that right arm and hand press up. Left hand's going to press down. On your exhalation now, the left hand comes on top, the right on the bottom. Take a breath here. Exhale. And then we're going to continue inhaling. Left arm presses up, right arm down. Exhale. Reversing. Inhale, exhale, continuing on the in-breath to grow long. We know that's what we're generally doing with yoga. Exhalation is our return, and we take a breath. We'll do this one more time to either side. And pausing here, closing your eyes. See if you can let your hands move a little bit closer together as you continue to imagine breathing between them until you can see if you can feel a little bit of energy, perhaps. And then we're just slowly going to let that melt away. We're just going to come right back to the standing or the seated mountain. Feeling again the foundation, the stability of our relationship as a part of this earth, the uplift. We'll go through a flowing sequence, of course, modify as you need. This time on an in-breath, both arms are going to rise up. And we're going to open, we're going to come right into a bit of a wide angle, kind of a bit of cactus arms, if you will. Belly button drawn away, tailbone is tucked, pressing through your feet and your sit bones. If you're seated, we're just going to exhale and rotate to the right, coming back on the breath. And continuing. This sensation as if, there's shrink wrap around the torso. Everything is drawn in to the midline. And one more time to either side. Coming back, hands on the hip crease. Those of you that are standing want to get into rotating your hips, figure 8, circles. Those of you that are seated, we're coming back to the top, so getting your abs engaged. And noticing what is the joy quotient for you in this moment. there a sense of joyfulness, playfulness that's being present, being felt? And if so, where is it most sensed in the body or with the movement? And when you're ready, just shifting back to our basic starting position of Tadasana, the mountain. Soft gaze. Again, the arms are going to rise up, catching that draft of breath. And we're just going to exhale as we come into four-pointed star. So we're just going to let the feet be wide, toes turned out on a slight diagonal, and fingertips reaching in opposite directions. And we're just going to roll the shoulders up and back and down here. Take a moment. We're going to let the hands come onto the hip crease. We're going to set our foundation up in a warrior two posture here. So we're going to turn both of the toes on a slight diagonal to the right. Heels are intersecting. Tailbone remains tucked. Get your little abs on here, always. And then when you're ready, arms coming into play, gazing over the fingertips here. See if you can roll the shoulders a bit more up and back and down, and settling in. Belly button drawn away from the shirt. We're going to turn that right palm up, this receiving gesture as we exhale into reverse warrior here. Let's pause for a few breaths. See if you can feel the rib cage opening, the breath in the mid-torso. Eventually we're going to come back up with a breath. We're going to pause. Exhale that forearm as we cut across into diagonal warrior. Feel that line of energy all the way across that left side of the body. Rising back up with your breath. Pausing here. Noticing. We'll conclude with that exhalation of the hands in front of the heart and a little bow to the wisdom that brings us home. Welcoming this relationship of keeping company with ourselves. Hands can come back to the hip crease. We're just going to heel toe the feet in. A little bit of a wider angle. We're going to come into a forward bend. So being mindful of, if you have glaucoma, unmedicated high blood pressure, or infection of the head and throat, not releasing your head below your heart. So get your little crunch on again, tucking the tailbone. Hands can come to the hips or slide gently down the thighs. If you're standing, it's like you're sitting back in a chair to begin with. Going into the fold that's just right for you. And if it feels right to bring in a little movement here, letting that be so. A few deeper, fuller breaths. See if you can feel any sense of release, like a little traction in the spine, a little cerebral spinal fluid washing over the brain. Hands coming back to the hip crease, and you're slowly going to come up on an in breath. You can heel toe the feet in. Coming back to our starting position of the mountain. Pausing and noticing. One more time on a breath, this quality of gathering. We're going to step wide again, coming into five-pointed star here. Hands can come to the hip crease as we really make sure that we've got that good core stability. Setting up the feet, slight diagonal of the toes to the left, heels intersecting torso straight up and down. Beautiful. Take a moment as if there's a little guide wire at the center of your chest, lifting your heart, but your shoulder blades conversely are sliding down your back a little bit. Belly button drawn away from your shirt as you slowly spread your wings, gazing over the fingertips here, just rolling those shoulders up and back and down very kindly. Almost imagining as if the fingers were growing in opposite directions, emanating from the center of the chest, expanding the arms. Turning that left palm up as you exhale, coming into reversed warrior. A few breaths here. Breathing in through the ribcage area. And rising back up with that breath, pausing, noticing when it's right for you, releasing that forearm to the thigh and the arm sweeping across. Feel that diagonal line of energy. A few breaths. And rising back up when you're ready, pausing. Hands again coming to the hip crease. We're just going to heel toe the feet in. One more time. We're going to get that crunch on. If you're standing, it's like you're sitting back a little bit in a chair posture. And now we're coming right into our goddess posture, or sun god, if you will. So belly button drawn away, chest again lifted, shoulders relaxed and down. Turning the palms now forward. We're just going to exhale like there's a wall of air that we're trying to squeeze together. As we inhale, as if the shoulder blades were trying to touch in the center of the back, and just going with the flow here. And 2 more times. Pausing. And then just before you release the arms, just the intention to release the arms and to stay present with the myriad sensations. So slow motion here, arms releasing, melting back down. Let's heel toe the feet in. And just let the arms hang like empty coat sleeves. See if you can feel any release happening in the shoulders, down through the upper arms. Relaxation maybe spilling into the forearms and out through the tips of the fingers. Let's take this a little bit further by inhaling that right arm up as we press through the heel of this hand, tucking the chin. Going to get a little release here of the bicep tendon. We're just going to drop that left ear towards the left shoulder. See if you can feel a bit of a stretch right across that bicep area. And then slowly on an exhalation, like the hands moving down a wall of air, we're going to let that arm return. Palm releasing, head coming back, pausing, closing your eyes for a few breaths, just noticing any relaxation, any release that may have been stimulated by that movement. And then we're going to inhale the opposite arm up, flexing the wrist here, pressing, tucking the chin, dropping that right ear towards the right shoulder, not too much, not too little, but just right. Feeling that stretch. And then slowly, with that out breath, that hand transitioning, that arm transitioning back alongside the body. Head returning. Closing the eyes for a couple of breaths here. And then we're just going to come into what I call the gentle wash cycle. So again, we're just feeling into what wants to express itself with movement or a gentle stretch. Can I secondarily let that space receive a few breaths as if I'm imagining I'm breathing into those sensations? If it feels right to go into a very supportive forward bend, I might want to engage my abdominal muscles and fold into a bit of a ragdoll. And just letting yourself enjoy your own company. Slowly, when you're ready, rising back up. Returning to foundational posture, the mountain. Noticing how you feel now. Feeling your feet perhaps a little more solidly on the ground, and that pressing in, that lifting up of energy. Chest is proud, shoulders are relaxed. We're going to go into a spinal rotation now. So we're going to take that right hand to the mid back, the low back, just a little touch. Maybe getting a nice stretch through the pec and the deltoid here. That hand will eventually settle in. Inhaling that opposite arm up, shoulder height, belly button drawn away. We're going to exhale as we rotate gently to the right, bending that elbow. Inhale, lifting, exhale. Feel this loving expression, like you're a beautiful piece of fabric, gently, lovingly being wrung very carefully. Can you take a few deeper, fuller breaths here? And then after an in-breath, we're just going to exhale the witnessing of the arm returning. Coming back to our basic posture, closing your eyes and just saying hello to the inner landscape, anything arising in the soma, the right hemisphere of the body, the left hemisphere. Can you imagine as if you're breathing and drawing energy up from earth, right up the midline? And then taking that left hand to the mid back, say hello. You know, these kidneys and adrenal glands, they work so hard every day. So we need to say, hey, I got your back. You know, this is part of our keeping company. I've got my own back here. And then I'm going to let that hand settle in. I'm going to inhale that opposite arm up. As I exhale, the arm tracking across the body. Fingertips pressing in. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Shoulders are relaxed, chest is proud. Exhaling into your rotation. Taking those deeper, fuller breaths here. And after your next inhalation, again, that slow release, the noticing of the arm moving through space. Coming back into stillness. Again, closing your eyes if that feels right. Reconnecting with the felt sense of the body breathing. The felt sense of both rootedness and also lifting skyward simultaneously. And again, just responding one more time to any stretching, any movements or postures as we begin to unwind from those of you that are standing. Eventually returning back to seated. We'll continue with a bit more strengthening of our core. So I'm going to give you a side view for this part of class. Making sure your chair, no wheels, that it's very stable, very steady. As you sit towards the edge of your chair, I'm going to show you. So this is, you can see here that my back is a little bit extended. What we do to keep ourselves and our back healthy is it's just a little very gradual tuck of the tailbone. And then the drawing in of the abdominal muscles. So bottom of the ribs draw in and the rectus abdominis muscles draw in. And then bringing the hands back, we're encouraging a little opening in the pecs, if you will. We're holding on as we walk the feet out to that just right place and perhaps can lift into a reverse plank. Continuing to pull that belly button away from your shirt, continuing to breathe here. Squeezing your glutes. And if you're not actually doing this move, you can imagine you're doing this. You can fire the glutes up. You can pull the belly button in, even if you remain seated in the chair. That has merit. We're slowly going to release out of this. We're going to come back into that wide stance as we shift the weight forward with the abs turned on. So we're just going to hinge forward, heels of the hands pressing in. Pressing the left heel of the hand, and you're just going to rotate to the right, coming back on a breath. Opposite hand presses in as you rotate to the left. So just exploring this, maybe feeling a juicier little stretch in your low back, your sacral area. Come back to neutral. If you choose to come down on your forearms, you may want to go a little further. If it feels right to heel toe the feet in and go into a very mindful, supportive fold. Continuing to flow with the breath. Come back to center. With the abs turned on, we're going to rise up. Pausing here. Noticing how you feel now. Let's do one more kind of core strengthening move. So we're going to let the feet be wider again. We're coming into churning the butter or stirring the pot. So everything cinched in, tailbones tucked. Little uplift here through the sternum, shoulders relaxed. We stack our fists. So feel your strength right here, just this gesture of presence, meeting yourself here with a sense of all in with this move. And then slowly beginning to churn the butter. Oh yeah, and breathing. So we really want to feel the breath supporting us. And noticing those strong places that feel stable and the quaky, shaky places, like they're all integrated with this movement. And If you're ready, you can change direction with this. And eventually just kind of melt back into stillness. And just feeling any echoes, closing the eyes for a moment, just feeling any echoes of energy, feeling if anything might be starting to soften and loosen under your gaze. And as if you're looking at yourself now with kind eyes, the kind eyes you would extend to a friend, a dear one, a beloved pet, just kind eyes, seeing, feeling into the direct experience of the senses, the soma. And then from here, I want to just do a little bit with the lower extremities. So you can kind of do a little bit of lifting up the heels. We're just going to wake up the feet. Let your toes be spread really widely here. And then stopping and getting that core on as we lift that left leg up, and we're just going to kind of, like it's sea kelp, right? We're just going to explore as if it were in a body of water, keeping this core nice and strong to support this movement. Again, you can imagine you're doing this or in a very limited way if that's right action for your body. And we're just going to let that leg melt, come back. Notice again echoes of sensation in this leg. Notice the other leg that's been dormant. And notice the landscape around the legs of the body. And when you're ready, again, getting that crunch on as we start to explore the sea kelp of the other leg. And then letting that leg eventually melt. Let's extend that right leg out long. We're just going to do a hamstring stretch, hands on this thigh as we take a little bow here. Find your just right place. This posture, head to knee posture, is a gesture of surrendering to oneself. So see where the surrender needs to happen in the physical body. See where the surrender needs to happen in the mental body or the emotional body. Can you let the breath be a little deeper and fuller, as if you're breathing down the corridor of the back of this leg? And once again, as you pull the belly button away, keeping that core engaged and rising up. Before we go on, let's just do a little empty coat sleeve rotation here. Come back to neutral, extending that opposite leg. And slowly, when you're ready, mindfully folding home towards yourself. And breathing into the back of the leg, behind the knee. As if the breath is laced with a little tenderness, a little loving care. Drawing that belly button away from the spine and rising up with the breath. Drawing that leg back, and again, just any last minute little stretching. And then just sliding right back into stillness for a few minutes of relaxation. Allowing again the eyes to close if that feels right for you today. And just taking note of how you feel in this moment. Maybe noticing any place in the body that's softened and loosened a bit with your practice today. Maybe noticing any places in the body that may feel a little more open, a little more spacious. Noticing that also in the emotional body, places in the body where the emotional landscape is that may feel a little more softened, a little more loosened. Places that may feel more expansive. Can you imagine almost as if this beautiful river is softly flowing through the mind, softly flowing through the flesh and bones, just releasing and relaxing and supporting you with letting go of anything that no longer serves. And I'd like to conclude by reading you a poem by John Welwood called Forget About Enlightenment. Forget about enlightenment. Sit down wherever you are and listen to the wind that is singing in your veins. Open your heart to who you are right now, not who you'd like to be, not the saint you're striving to become, but the being right here, the being before you, inside and around you. All of you is holy. You're already more and less than whatever you can know. Breathe out, look in, let go. Namaste.